Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
What's up, everyone, and welcome. In this episode, we are going to talk about Labor Day and the Fed's warnings about cyber attacks. If you missed my previous dailies or weeklies, then you might not know that the FBI and the CISA have gotten much more active in the cybersecurity community. They gave multiple flash alerts about a few cyber gangs becoming more active. They have also put out guidelines for keeping your network safe. Now, before we jump into the story, let's take a quick look at some of the things the CISA and FBI have been sharing. Last week, the CISA published 5 malware analysis reports related to compromised pulse-secure devices. The FBI published a flash alert related to the operations of the Hive Ransomware gang. The FBI also published a flash alert about the 1% group. Their alert contains TTPs and IOCs. The previous week, we learned that the FBI has been warning Silicon Valley about China and Russia trying to infiltrate their companies over the last few years. And the US CISA has released guidance to prevent data breaches resulting from ransomware attacks. The list includes maintain offline encrypted backups of data and regularly test your backups, create, maintain, and exercise a basic cyber incident response plan, a resiliency plan, and associated communications plan, mitigate internet-facing vulnerabilities and misconfigurations to reduce the attack vector, reduce the risk of phishing emails from reaching end users by enabling strong spam filters and implementing user awareness and training programs. Practice good cyber hygiene by using up-to-date anti-malware solutions and application allow listing, ensuring user and privileged accounts are limited, enabling multi-factor authentication, and implementing cybersecurity best practices. Now, if you stay to the end, I don't want to say you can skip all of that, but I'm going to give you an idea of something you might be able to do that will take you 2 minutes. And over the holiday weekend, a 3-day, or if you extend it to a 4-day weekend or 5-day weekend, however long you're off, you can seriously reduce the risk and potential for anybody to get into your network. So stay tuned.
Got the drop on you with my disintegrating pistol. And brother, when it disintegrates, it disintegrates. Well, what do you know? It's disintegrated.
Here is the story. Lots of people might be taking some time off over the Labor Day weekend, or like my family, they are going to be cleaning up after Hurricane Ida. Up in New York. Now, the federal government has warned threat actors likely won't be taking time off, which means we need to remain particularly vigilant about the potential for ransomware attacks. Citing historical precedents, the FBI and CISA put out a joint cybersecurity advisory Tuesday, noting that ransomware attackers often ambush organizations on holidays and weekends when offices are normally closed, making the upcoming 3-day weekend a prime opportunity for threat activity. While the agency said they haven't discovered any specific threat reporting indicating a cyber attack will occur over the upcoming Labor Day holiday, so there's no evidence of a preeminent attack or an imminent attack on any specific company, they know based on history that it is highly likely. They are working on the idea that it's better to be safe than sorry, given that some major cyber attacks have occurred over holidays and weekends during the past few months. Indeed, attackers recently have taken advantage of the fact that many extend their holiday weekends to 4 days or more, leaving a skeleton crew behind to oversee IT and network infrastructure and security. And that's what the security professionals observed. What they're saying is, if you take a 4 or 5 day extended holiday weekend, you have a skeleton IT crew, and these attackers can just, they relax. They know that they have a 4-day weekend with a skeleton crew where they can just kind of sit back on the couch and hang out and do whatever they need to do without feeling rushed.
I'll lay my hands on that varmint. Oh!
Modern cybercriminals use some pretty sneaky tactics to maximize the damage and collect the most money per attack, noted Eric Cron, security awareness advocate at security firm KnowB4, in an email to ThreatPost. Because organizations are generally short-staffed over holiday weekends, the swiftness with which they can respond to attacks that occur during these times will be impacted, he said. Of course. Now, that's mainly because the absence of key personnel make it less likely that organizations that are targeted can quickly detect and contain attacks once launched, observed Chris Clements, Vice President of Solutions Architecture at security firm Cerberus Sentinel. This additional time gives attackers the ability to exfiltrate more sensitive data, so they have more time. They have 4 days to get as much data out as possible before being noticed and before feeling rushed to then encrypt everything. Or they have more time to lock up more computers with ransomware than they otherwise might have been able to. That's what he said in an email to Threat Post. Now, because of this vulnerability and the increased exposure to attacks, the FBI and CISA are encouraging organizations to examine their current cybersecurity posture and implement the recommended best practices and mitigations to manage the risk posed by all cyber threats, including ransomware. Now, the agency listed a number of attacks that occurred over holiday weekends in the last several months as reasons for worry. The now infamous Colonial Pipeline attack by now defunct ransomware group DarkSide that crippled the oil pipeline on the East Coast for some weeks after it occurred in the lead up to Mother's Day weekend. Then later in May, over the Memorial Day weekend, the Revel ransomware group targeted the world's largest meat distributor, JBS Foods, forcing the shutdown of some operations in both the United States and Australia and causing disruption in the global food supply chain. Like DarkSide, Revel also has since closed up shop. Now, I did an episode on JBS. I also did one on Colonial Pipeline, but you've most likely seen that. Another major ransomware attack by Revel occurred over the 4th of July holiday weekend, this time exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities in the CISA virtual system server administrated platform. The mess created by this massive supply chain attack that affected numerous software as a service and on-premise CISA customers is still being dealt with today. Now, I also did an episode on that one, so check out my channel. Through the two ransomware players who launched these previous attacks, though the two ransomware players who launched these previous attacks are now gone, there are still plenty who are active, federal agencies warned. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, which logs cyber incident complaints for various types of internet crime, said attacks from the following ransomware variants have been the most frequently reported by the FBI over the last month: Conti, Pyset, Lockbit, RansomX, also Defray or Defray 77, and Zeppelin and Crisis, also known as Dharma or Phobos. Just this week, researchers at Sophos also reported on the emergence of yet another ransomware called Lockfile, which uses a never-before-seen type of intermittent encryption tactic to evade detection. Because threat actors often stake out victims and maintain a presence on a targeted network before the attack occurs, the FBI and the CISA advise that one way organizations can mitigate attacks is to engage in preemptive threat hunting. The agency said in their advisory, threat hunting is a proactive strategy to search for signs of threat actor activity to prevent attacks before they occur or to minimize damage in the event of a successful attack. So these guys are probably already in your network, or could be already in your network, not to scare you to death. Or if they're already in your network, they're looking for an opportunity to have enough time alone with your systems and get all romantic so that they can do the most amount of damage and in turn try to earn the maximum amount from a ransomware attack. So what can you do?
Stand back, musketeers! They shall sample my blade! Touché!
Well, one thing you could do is maybe just shut off SSH or RDP if you don't need it. You know, if people are in the office over the weekend, your skeleton crew, then you don't need to have RDP or SSH. So nobody can access your systems through SSH and RDP. Another thing you could do is make sure that all non-essential machines in the offices are shut off over the weekend. If they're not online, then they can't be attacked. Well, that goes for printers. It goes for, linked coffee machines and refrigerators or whatever Internet of Things services or devices you have within your infrastructure. It goes for corporate laptops or all computers. Anything that doesn't need to be on, have it shut off. So those are two ways that you can definitely limit the potential surface of the attack, and also potentially keep anybody from getting back in. If they don't have SSH access, then they don't have it. Then they can't get in. Now, some people have said, okay, well, they can remotely enable SSH if it gets disabled. Well, I've written after scripts for a number of clients, which then alerts somebody if it's either if there's a change in SSH or when somebody logs on, who's currently logged on. These are all things that you could also do relatively quickly with just a few Google searches or just doing it on your own. So with that, thanks for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already. And smash the bell, of course, if you haven't already, to be alerted when I upload a new episode. And I will see you on the next episode. Take care.